The day we arrived in the U.S., on the May 30th, 1949, my parents ordered me to forget everything that happened on the other side of the Atlantic, and I did everything that they asked me to do. I became an American on day one. I could only speak 2 words, thank you. But I became Americanized very quickly, and it didn't take me long. I learned to play baseball. I learned to play basketball. I learned English fairly quickly, and I felt very assimilated. And it took me a very long time, really, until about 1968, during the Prague Spring, that I had any pangs at all about my native country.
Well, it's quite interesting because my story on this is quite different. There was a moment, and that was arriving in New York Harbor and steaming past the Statue of Liberty and knowing that we had come to safety once again and we would never be leaving again. But my parents took a different tack than Charlie's. They really wanted me not to lose my attachment to Slovakia. They wanted me to be an absolutely complete American, be completely at home, sink my roots here, which I did, but they did not want me to forget, and they were very clear about that, and they worked very hard at that. And one of the things that they did was to make sure that I retained my Slovak language, and that's all we ever spoke at home. And I was surrounded by Slovak art and Slovak music all the time that I was growing up. And they wanted this duality from me, to be a thoroughgoing American, totally aware of where I had come from. And there's a wonderful illustration of how well that succeeded, which I dearly love, and I discovered in my mother's files long after she died. And that's a birthday card that I made for her when I was about 12 or 13 in New York. And on the cover of it, I had written "Happy Birthday" in English. On the inside cover, I had written "Šťastné narozeniny" in Slovak. And on the back, I had used my crayons to draw 2 flags, the Czechoslovak flag and the American flag, both on that back cover. And when I found that, I thought, you know, my parents really succeeded.
Now, Dagmar and Wojciech, you both came here a bit older. Did that mean that you had very different experiences than the 2 outlined?
Yes, I had a different experience. I had absolutely no difficulty adjusting to the country. I was well prepared. I knew English thanks to my parents, who believed that one should learn English, German, French in that sequence. I learned all the 3. I listened to the Voice of America. I read about American history. I read American fiction. Walt Whitman was my favorite poet, it still is. So I felt very much at home when I emerged in New York from the subway on 116th Street and Broadway. I felt this is a place where I belong. I still love New York City more than any other place. I will also say that I didn't assume I would be returning to Czechoslovakia. And that, I think, made the adjustment that much easier. Also, I must say that America was very good to me. When I came, I was accepted as so-called special student at Columbia in the graduate school, which meant that I was allowed to take the classes. I was allowed to pay the tuition. I had to borrow the tuition, the money for the tuition, but the university helped me to get a part-time job using my languages. I was working in the Port of New York, helping the immigration officers interview the immigrants using my languages. I could make it on that part-time job income. I could pay back the tuition. I could get a research assistantship at the university, which carried free tuition. Now that sounds like a dream today, and I think that shows you also how the country has changed between then and now.
sorry to interrupt. I was just going to say, Dagmar, you were also a student when you came. Did you have a similar style?
Well, when we came, actually, since we had such a bad experience during the Second World War, we decided either all of us go, because when Father went by himself, we stayed there. This time we went together, because Father and my brother, they were already arrest warrant was issued on them, then they were sentenced to death in absentia. So we really find a haven here. I was studying at that time at National Conservatory and Charles University in Prague, so I was able, as poor, when you come here, when we escaped, we just had 2 sets of underwear on, and that was it. So you come here and suddenly you get scholarship to Juilliard. I was studying at University of Kansas. I could continue with all my studies. Then naturally I married an American diplomat, and I, as an immigrant, eventually I was the one that was helping to disseminate American democracy in underdeveloped countries. And I still I love America. I feel very safe here. And it's a strange thing sometimes. Of course, we will be now reburying my father in Nizhbor, in his native village. It is going to become a war grave. And but somehow, I don't know whether I would completely ever feel safe there. I feel safe here. I love America, and yet I will never forget what I came from, what I did, and I am still very much involved in promoting Czech music and Czech culture, and that will be always part of me, but I love being here.